Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Gerard here with another Astro Tidbit. I've been trying to time these when the planets are actually in either exaltation or fall, and today being one of the last days of Aries season, I thought I'd go ahead and do the exaltation and fall of the sun. So, just a reminder about what exaltation is. Exaltation is the idea that a planet is lifted up. Other astrologers have described it as a planet who is an honored guest or the highest expression of that planet. Now, when it comes to essential dignity of a planet, exaltation is often considered second only to domicile, although domicile does have the drawback because it suggests the most of a planet, which includes both the good and the bad. And fall is sort of the inverse of those, a planet that is in a depressed state. So a little bit more on exaltation. Every one of the classical planets has astrological planets, those seven, has a sign of exaltation, as well as a specific degree of exaltation. And I'll put in a link to those degrees in the description of this video. However, not every sign has an exaltation lord. And Kira Ryberg references exaltation as a kind of secondary rulership of a sign. In its absence, triplicity becomes the secondary lord. See her great podcast, Threads of Fate. Now, let's talk about the sun. So, the sun is associated with mind as well as light and visibility. As such, it's associated with identity and self, and therefore, in a lower sense, the ego. And it's also associated with attention and therefore royalty as the domiciled ruler of Leo. And of course, when you think of a monarch, for example, let's say a queen on her throne, we see her wearing gold that reflects a lot of light very perfectly, very beautifully. She has a crown that sparkles and jewelry and holds an orb and a scepter and has a big robe, very commanding of your attention. In fact, the entire court focuses your attention on them. Now, so there's all of that, right? The very presence of that being is very light. It emphasizes light and visibility. Now, unlike Mercury, which is the planet closest to the sun, its emphasis on the mind is more general and reflects an uncommunicated attention of the mind. I might focus on this and not have a thought on it, but my mind is engaged with it, right? And as the moon is cool and wet, the sun is warm and dry temperamentally. Now, the sun's exaltation is in the sign of Aries, which is the sign of the ram. Now, Aries, if you're looking at the zodiacal person, is associated with the head, which is the highest part. And of course, the head is the most visible of all body parts. Now, Mars's aggressive or assertive side has a home in the sign of the ram. So Mars is the domicile ruler. And of course, what do we know about rams? Well, they attack with violent headbutts. And so there's the association with the head there. And Mars is also very much about trying to win. It wants to win and beat the other person. Now, Aries tends to have good intuition and to advance quickly into whatever new thing they're interested in. They tend to move into that space. If you think of a soldier running across a battlefield, that is a really good idea of like, okay, I got to get in this space, see what's going on, and boom, just make my move, right? So this tendency is what makes the sun exalted in Aries, helping the Aries sun move into a space with energy. That martial energy allows the sun to move forward and say, I am, right? Very much that natural tendency of the sun in Aries. Now, the best and highest expression of the sun is therefore what gives it room to shine, allowing self-expression and freedom to be oneself, perhaps to the exclusion of others. Here I am, boom. A lot of times you'll hear people say, I am the greatest, that was Muhammad Ali's famous saying after whenever he was hyping himself up, I am the greatest. Now, the sun's fall is in the sign of Libra, the sign of the scales. So, as I mentioned in the Saturn exaltation and fall video, uh, Libra is about scales that naturally balance two sides equally. As such, Libra in general is about harmony and balance among many interests. Libra is ruled by Venus, a planet that in Libra in particular signifies pleasantness and social graces. The sun's tendency to outshine other planets is therefore at odds with Libra's desire to balance. Less I am and more We are. And Libra's emphasis on pleasantness and social graces means having to dial back one's natural identity and complete self-expression, which can make it difficult for Libra suns to find their own identity. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to leave a comment in the video. If you're interested in an astrological consultation, feel free to contact me at skymirror.today, and feel free to follow me on Blue Sky at michaelmgerard.bsky.social. Thanks so much.